Once more the darkness beckons us. The spirits are restless, in search of solace, and similarly we have unfinished business of our own. Satanic forces are fighting to control the soul of Richter Belmont, placing him as the master to this castle so that the hunt may go on forever. And so we must seek out Maria for hope to an answer as to who is behind these sinister events and what they are really scheming. The Devil's Castle is calling, so let us go out into this evening for pleasure. The night is still young. This one's gonna be a tiny bit different. I may have vastly underestimated how much playtime was left in the game. Sometimes we forget things. Yes, we have an entire second castle to explore that is the exact same size as the first. However, with no puzzles and very little story, and a lot of empty space, this part is going to feel more like a boss rush. That isn't to say there isn't anything to talk about. There is an opportune time in the second castle to get more into Alucard's backstory, and this game has plenty of post-game content. So let's make like a lover with endless stamina, and jump back in. Equipping the gold and silver ring we previously acquired, we will start our journey back in the clock room, with said ring unlocking a new path forward for us. Riding the elevator and entering the very heart of the castle, we reunite with Maria once more, who may have come up with a way to rescue Richter from his demonic possession.
Alucard?
That voice, Maria?
I'm sorry. You were right. He has joined forces with the enemy.
She admits to us that she was wrong about the situation, which is ironically the least believable thing in this story about vampires. Even less believable, she actually did something useful, acquiring the Holy Goggles, an artifact that allows one to see through illusions. She then hands them over to us, so that we can solve her problems for her, as expected. And so we do the thing that most simps would do in this situation, starting a fight at her behest.
I've been waiting for you.
We've already heard this speech, and considering this game has 4 endings, it's surprising they didn't write an alternate dialogue here. We do have a new goal this go-round, attacking the mysterious green orb that seems to be following Richter, now visible to us. I'm guessing the orb has no actual HP count, as I accidentally summoned Holy Cross while trying to dodge, and it clearly displays no damage. However, we win, revealing a ghost from the past in the form of the Dark Priest Shaft. You're damn right.
You've defeated me, but all is not yet lost. The resurrection of Count Dracula is at hand.
This may look dated, but in the moment, it was both a gigantic surprise as well as just all around cool. It wasn't as if strategy guides weren't a thing, and we certainly had slow-speed internet at the time. But before YouTube, you were more likely going to discover this second secret half to the game well after you had already gotten the bad ending, making the reveal a huge deal.
No. What have I done?
Thank you, Alucard, for saving Richter.
Alucard? The same Alucard who fought alongside my ancestor, Trevor Belmont? That was over 300 years ago.
Cutting Richter off mid-story, Alucard is straight to the point, telling Maria to take Richter and leave. Alucard is that guy, and he wants Maria to know it, immediately heading into the next challenge without uttering another word, only pure aura farming. Inside the inverted castle, we are free to head out into an almost open-world version of the game. With our new abilities and all the doors unlocked, we are free to tackle the bosses in any order we choose, and so we head reverse east, grabbing a large stack of health and hard-up bonuses. There are going to be a lot of these in the second half of the game, so make sure to check back in all the secret areas you previously discovered while traveling. Wandering about, we accidentally stumble into our first boss fight with the giant bat. A fairly simple starter boss, you can mostly hide below him to avoid getting hit, while spamming out our fateful ally's Summon Spirit. You can play this one a bit loose. It's mostly the enemies that get stronger in this half of the game, with the bosses admittedly being a bit underwhelming. Instead of a health up per usual, Bad Guy will drop the Ring of Vlad, part of an item set we need to collect in order to enter the Dark Lord's chambers, similar to how he was resurrected in Castlevania 2. The item hunt is a bit more about rare enemy drops in this half, so I won't mention everything, but there are still a handful of very good equipment pieces that you will come across, like this moon rod to the left of where we fought the bat. I didn't mention the weapon special attacks in the earlier vid, since it's mostly the late stage weapons that get all the cool abilities. This is done with a down to forward or back to front motion before an attack, and will be incredibly useful against the next boss. Another very important item is the Dragon Helmet, part of Alucard's opening game set that was stolen from him. Not only does it offer high defense, but it actually halves the defense of every enemy in the game. And so we make sure to grab it, continuing on our way to the outer wall. Climbing up the outer wall once more, we make our way into the library, which is legitimately disappointing. There is quite literally nothing of use in this area, and almost feels like a waste with all the new enemies that only show up here. Obviously on your first playthrough you should explore, but if you're trying to just finish the game, it isn't even worth acknowledging. Directly above the library, we encounter Frankenstein's monster. Sorry, I mean Funkazoid's creature, another jobber of a boss. Just hit this guy with attacks from a distance, while double jumping his fat roll, and that's about it. We watch him burn before grabbing the Tooth of Vlad as we head back into the castle interior. Cutting through the marble gallery, we head straight for the Clockroom Junction to pick up a few more goodies, before heading back through the Lorax's pad. While here, we can find Alucard's armor, which has high defense as well as elemental resistance. We then cut our way over to the boss room, where we will encounter the mummy, Modin II. Easily the most pathetic boss in the entire game, Modin mostly slowly walks at you while kicking up clouds of gas from his bloated corpse. All you have to do is attack from a distance, similar to the last boss, but in slow motion, and Modin will drop fairly quickly, leaving behind the baby back rib of Vlad, barbecue sauce. Using the chapel as a highway corridor, we first travel to the southern end to face Medusa, who in a 180 is one of the better boss fights in the game. Her petrifying gaze is impossible to muscle through,
unless you're wearing the mirror couriers.
But using the shield, you can get in close, dodging her sword swipes and pushing her back into the corner for an easy mercy kill. And with the Gorgons slain, we grab the heart of Vlad and head back up towards the Colosseum. And I think my game might be a tiny bit fucked up. Just a hunch. I have legit never experienced this many glitches in a run-through of this game. And while I do record these plays from a PC, I usually use authentic CD-ROMs. This could be many issues, but I do worry that the data tracks on many of my older games will soon corrupt, and there is a case to be made when it comes to game preservation, especially disc-based games that are no longer available for purchase. One quick reboot later, and we are ready for a reunion with some old friends, back from the dead and ready to party. We've got the reanimated corpse of Trevor Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter himself, his magic-using girlfriend with a piss fetish, Sifa, and that lovable mentally ill hobo who loves to stab people, Grant. Weird. I guess Netflix didn't have enough room in the cast for one of the main characters, but they did have room for all their progressive self-insert OCs. This one's kinda fun. You need to play it from the outside while baiting them in before bullet helling your way around their combined attacks. They each have a decent amount of HP, so it can take a second before they start dropping, and once you have Sypha on her own, she'll begin summoning weaker Trevor zombies for an assist. Once all three of them have been dealt with, we collect a health up. A handful of these bosses in this part are optional, but they make up the best fights in the game, as you will see. Speaking of optional boss fights, we head up and are immediately met with Beelzebub. This one can actually be a problem for some people. At first it's easy taking shots at his arms and legs while dodging the Beelzebugs he sends your way, but once he's down to just the upper torso, it's almost impossible to get in close. However, if we climb onto this upper platform, we can attack him from a distance with our faithful summoned spirit to finish him off. It's about to get kind of funny. I'm of course referring to the feel of the gameplay, and not my shitty jokes. Locating Alucard's shield in the basement, we now have the option to pair it with the shield rod, transforming it into the most broken weapon in the game. Able to deal out massive damage while filling your HP, it is essentially an instant win button. And while I plan to legitimately defeat the bosses in this run, we are most definitely going to whip out that bad boy and play with it a little at the end of this video. I do somewhat regret not recording a quick example of it against this second doppelganger, since it isn't really much of a fair fight. Far too weak to do any real damage to us, and vulnerable to that same loop as we used in the first fight. I was able to essentially fuck about, forcing him to constantly run away into the corner due to having a massive sword that must have intimidated the guy. This is yet another boss battle with no real reward. However, a lot of players will use the room below it to level grind, especially late in the game when all experience drops to 1, no matter the enemy.
So, you've made it this far. In the name of your father, cease this foolishness!
Not while there's a breath in my body.
Then for the Master, I'll feast on your soul this night.
Meeting us for a 1v1, Death holds the final relic needed in order to unlock the Master's chambers, and while this section of the game is technically open, they did a good job placing him as far away from the starting point as possible to ensure the endgame boss feel. Usually stoic and well-spoken, Netflix decided it best to keep that hilarious running gag they used with Carmilla going, now having Death being the one to say fuck in a proper accent.
I was put here at the dawn of life on Earth to feed on the last breath of every one of you fuckers.
Where else have I heard this brilliant writing before?
I will fuck you up, Curly. You sound like a fucking idiot, you fuckers.
Oh yeah, it's that same bullshit Family Guy humor that's in every adult cartoon. Good job, Netflix. Also, check out Cynical Reviews. Dodging this guy isn't that hard, despite my terrible performance on screen. The real thing to worry about is his high damage output and HP pool. You really can't get too sloppy here, even at a higher level. Form 1 may legit be the hardest part of this fight, with his 4 different movesets. Once Death transforms, you have a much less mobile and much larger target to aim for, while at the same time there is way less for you to worry about dodging. Just keep the pressure on while playing defensively and he will eventually drop, leaving behind the Eye of Vlad and opening up our path to the final boss. That can wait, however. We still have one last optional boss to fight, and a few items to grab, and Dracula is quite literally locked away in his tomb rotting, so he ain't going nowhere. Heading towards the final area, we find Alucard's sword along the way, which is one of the most powerful weapons in the game. The game itself does not tell you this, but it's actually slightly faster than the other weapons in the sword class. And with invulnerability during its special attack, it's probably the best weapon you can find in the game, not counting enemy drops. The final area has a fun little bonus level feel to it, with rooms that are littered with blood skeletons, and the most powerful enemy being these cute witches that turn into even cuter kittens to escape after defeat. Even the background changes are well appreciated, swapping the Hellfire from the first run with a nice minty green flavor. In the tradition of oversized boss battles, it's Galamoth, and while there are better ways to do this, my preferred method is to try and sneak in between the legs when he does his lightning attack, laying in as many hits as possible before escaping, relatively unharmed. It's a very blunt and stupid method compared to some of the better strategies, but once you get the timing down in mist form, it's very easy to pull off. The main thing is to always have him back against a wall, that way you have space to back off from his other attacks. He's got a huge HP pool, so it'll take some time, but keep chipping away and he'll go down eventually, dropping nothing but a life up. Sometimes you just gotta do it for the glory of the kill. All artifacts and bosses accounted for, we unlock the way towards the final boss, and since this is technically an RPG, we have one last thing to do per RPG tradition. Throw in Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, cause that movie fucking rocks. I know, waited to the last second to bring it up, but had to sneak it in for the viewers who may have never heard of it. While these two series are unrelated, there is undoubtedly an influence present in the game. Dee's first movie releasing in 1985, a full year before Castlevania came to Famicom, they would have been crazy not to have gone to it for inspiration. And while Alucard originally showed up sporting the Bela Lugosi cut, his current day interpretation is clearly modeled after Dee. So if you love this game series but have never touched the Vampire Hunter D books or movies, give them a shot. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. In fact, I just did. Now back to the real mission, level grinding. Outside the final boss room, there are 2 hallways filled with Guardian Knights, with enough experience to get you up into the 60s in minutes, and they remain the best way to grind before the experience drop around level 70. I've personally never gone farther than that, but the more you max out your stats, the more comical the final battle becomes, even more so on the Android version, when the luck code is active. It's time to put on our big boy pants as we head into the final confrontation inside of the Master's Chambers. We're here to put the Dark Lord down, but first we're gonna have to deal with his little manservant, Shaft. Shut your mouth.
You have done well in making it this far. I would expect no less from the son of our master.
So you are the one who was controlling Belmont?
Yes. I am the dark priest called Shaft. This world must be cleansed in the forge of chaos.
That dark priest, whose name I will not say again due to the rule of 3, tells Alucard of his dastardly scheme. If vampire hunters choose to forever battle against the Dark Lord, then why not simply turn the greatest hunter of all into your personal guard dog? A plan that sounds ingenious until you remember guns exist. Retreating in his floating ball sack, he leaves himself wide open the entire fight, and while he does have a few magic attacks you need to use Mist Form to dodge, when you're leveled into the 60s, there's not much he can do to damage you, and the fight only lasts a few seconds before he ultimately falls to us.
Oh! No!
You claim to love the darkness. Go then and dwell there for all eternity.
That's cool, bro, the Dark Priest sarcastically replies, informing Alucard that his only goal was to resurrect Dracula once more, and he got the job done. Raising a middle finger, he smiles as he fades into the void, and we prepare for the real final battle.
Father.
Well met, my son. It's been a long time.
I was hoping we would not see each other again. I can't allow you to leave here, Father.
You have ever been the ally of humans. Have you forgotten what they did to your mother?
Think you I would forget such a thing? No, but neither do I seek revenge against them.
Still uttering the same nonsense. No matter. Now is the time to put aside your weak human side and join me in remaking this world!
Dracula, in the name of my mother!
I shall right wrongs and triumph over evil, and that means you!
Dracula is on the attack, and he means business. You can tell that he's serious because he fights while sitting, a martial arts technique known as Dumb Fat Fook, which was created by the legendary martial arts master, Steven Seagal. I'm going to be real, my eyes may be busted, because I just could not see him prepping for those swings, and took a lot of unnecessary hits. So my strategy with this boss fight would be to do the exact opposite of everything you see me doing on screen. At this level, it's just a pattern of attacking in when he tries his claw swipes, and mostly going into Mist Form to dodge all of his other attacks. Just rinse and repeat, and that's it. A fairly simple last boss fight.
Go back whence you came. Trouble the soul of my mother no more.
How is it that I've been so defeated?
You have been doomed ever since you lost the ability to love.
Sarcasm. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the world and loses his own soul? Matthew 16:26, I believe. Tell me, what were Lisa's last words?
She said, do not hate humans. If you cannot live with them, then at least do them no harm, for theirs is already a hard lot. She also said to tell you that she would love you for all of eternity.
Lisa, forgive me. Farewell, my son.
The Dark Lord slain, he closes his eyes for the very last time, now free of his burdens, embracing the love he had forgotten, both in his wife as well as Christ. The Devil's Castle fades away forever, taking Dracula's curse with it. And when I say forever, that is not hyperbole. Almost every mainline game has taken place before the events of this one, with the exception of Aria and Dawn of Sorrow, which both directly follow Symphony of the Night.
So you made it.
Alucard, I'm glad you're all right.
I'm sorry. 'Tis my fault you had to fight your own father.
Fear not. I had my own reasons for destroying him.
It must have been painful for you.
Indeed. But you must always remember that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
I understand.
Alucard, what will you do now?
The blood that flows in my veins is cursed. 'Twould be best for this world if I were to disappear forever.
I see.
Farewell then. We'll not meet again.
Alucard?
Don't you want to go after him, Maria?
No, it's best this way. I can't ease his torment. Someday, perhaps, we will meet again. And on that day, maybe.
I see.
Let's go. Everyone's waiting for us.
Yes, let's get out of here.
As mentioned earlier, Maria does actually run off to chase after Alucard, and they eventually do end up moving in together, living in some cabin off in the woods. You can even see her chase after him in the good ending, which is unlocked by opening up over 196% of the castle, something we purposely did not do this run because I've gotten that ending too many times. The alternate endings aren't the only endgame content. You can always go back and test that shield rod to cheat on Dracula, and if you're an old, really fucking old school fan, Richter is also a playable character, with his own moveset and the RPG system completely removed. But I think we all know who the best playable character really is. Not only are they the most OP, but they are clearly the hottest character in this entire game. Axe Armor. Maria sadly does not become playable until the later Saturn port. She also comes in as a new midpoint boss fight in Alucard's run, and as mentioned in the last video, she is the best character for speedruns, and we might even do one in the future on this channel. That was Symphony of the Night, and it turns out I completely misremembered how long that game actually was. But it really was great getting a chance to go back to this, especially with a completely different playstyle. Growing up, Castlevania was something I'd get to try from time to time, but Symphony was the first one I actually got a copy of, and got to spend some time with, so it wasn't really until this playthrough that I realized how easy this one is compared to everything else in the series. It is a bit broken in a lot of ways, and I felt overleveled most of the game despite rushing, and missing a lot of the items. Obviously, it was a huge experiment, and despite all the things it got wrong, that's kind of what makes the game great. We've already spent nearly an hour talking about this game across both videos, so I think it's safe to say it's a yes on the recommendations. This is still a great game in insert year, and if you haven't gotten a chance to play it, check it out. If you already have, then play it again, whatever. We've got more spoopy games coming, and as always I want to thank everyone for watching, and also those who grabbed adopts this week, and I will catch you in the next one.